Welcome to the Richard Lloyd USA YouTube channel. I'm Richard Lloyd. Today I'm making part 4 in my series for the MR7350 router from Linksys and using DD-WRT to create an excellent home network. Now in the last video on this series, I created a network with the router completely isolated from everything on the network, a home network for all your home devices, and also an IoT isolated network for all your IoT devices. And none of those networks had any access to the router at all. The router was only accessible through Ethernet on Ethernet port 1. And that's an excellent home configuration. Here's a simplified view of what we had there. One network on port 1 for the router itself. That's how you administer the router. Other than that, you have no access to that router at all. We've got a second network with Wi-Fi and Ethernet, 3 LAN Ethernet ports, and everything connects to that through, and that's your home network. Of course, there's your IoT devices completely jailed. So what we're going to do next is go here. Now here's the newest setup that I'm going for here. Now we're taking that whole network, keeping that configuration, but adding one more network onto this whole system. Maybe you have a work network and a home network. You want to keep your kids on the home network. You don't want them anywhere near your business stuff. Maybe you have a NAS. Maybe you have things on that network that you don't want your children or other people to access. So you're going to have basically a work network and a home network at this point. This diagram will be on my webpage, which will be pinned as the first comment on this video. Also, a complete configuration for this setup so that you don't have to put any of the settings in will be on that same pinned comment on the comment section below this video as well. I do have a video, and I'll put a link up here for it, that shows you how to use that configuration file correctly to make this work. Make sure you watch that video first before you try the configuration file, because there is some trickiness to it, right? So I break it down in that video, and you can do it. You can just grab the config file, dump it into your router, and have this exact configuration already done. That configuration will have my passwords. When you download the file with the configuration on it, it will have a text file with all the passwords for it, including the password you need to log into the router. Number one, you need that. And you also, just like I show in these videos, you need to be plugged into port 1 if you're going to see the router at all. So remember those things, right? Get the file, extract it, read the text, the README text. It will have the passwords for logging in, and for Wi-Fi, which you should change all of them away from that default, because anybody can find out your password just by downloading that file if you don't change them. What we're going to do here is add a network. It's going to be 192.168.40, and it will allow you to connect up to 254 devices. And that's a lot. And again, all these networks will do that because they're on that range. But regardless, we're going to have the router on 192.168.1.1, and it will be completely isolated and only accessible through the Ethernet port, just like I showed in the last video. Now this network is going to change a little bit, but we're still going to have all the same functionality. This one will stay the same. All the guest IoT devices can stay there. This will be your your work network or your business network or whatever you want. Your isolated different network. It could be a lab network. Like for me, I have this set up so that I can plug routers into my home router, my main home router, without disrupting it. It just keeps on running. All my Wi-Fi's on. I don't have to take it offline or do anything like that. I just plug the router. This current router is plugged into my version of this. So if you want a separate network for whatever reason you want, here you go, right? This is how you're going to do it. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take one of the LAN ports from your home network and dedicate it to the 192.168.40 network, right? This one here. And it's going to be one of the Ethernet ports. And if you need more than 2 Ethernet ports for your home network, well, all you need to do is exactly what we're going to do here. Buy a switch. This is an 8-port switch. And when you use it to plug in, if you plug this into the home network in this diagram, it would give you an extra 7 ports. So in total, you would have 8 with this configuration anyway. And these are under $20. And I'll put a link to the ones I use in the video description. You know, I recommend that you use those. They work great. I love this one here. again, in the video description. And what we're going to do is use that same switch over here and plug it into port 4 on the router, which will become this network here. This network will also have Wi-Fi on it, but the Wi-Fi is going to be coming from the router to the actual network. There is one limitation on this. If you want to move this network far away from the router, which you can because you can run a single length of Ethernet cable 328 feet, so you can take it way to the back shop, right? No problem. But you're going to be 328 feet away from the Wi-Fi signal, so which probably means at that point you're not going to have very good Wi-Fi there. You can get by that by attaching an access point, something called an access point, to one of these ports, and then that gives you Wi-Fi locally there near the switch or near your network. You can, again, I'll cover that in another video. Right now, I'm assuming that this network is within Wi-Fi range of the router. It needs to be for it to have Wi-Fi access. What we're going to do next is just start configuring this. Now, what you need to do is take an Ethernet cable and plug it into port 1. Important here, port 1 of your MR7350, and power it up. And of course, you're going to need to have DDWRT in it. And that's the first video in this series. I'll show you how to do that. We're going to go to that router. I'm already plugged into it. Right click well, I always use Firefox in a private window. I find that works the best. Now, first thing we're going to do is disconnect from Wi-Fi here. You don't want to do any of this on Wi-Fi, number 1. Number 2, you want that Ethernet cable from port 1 to a LAN port on your computer, PC, desktop, whatever you have. If it has an Ethernet port, just plug the other end of that cable into your PC or laptop or whatever you're using. If you don't have an Ethernet port on your laptop or PC, you can buy one for about $10, again, in the video description below. And this is USB 3 with 1 gigabit Ethernet speed. Awesome, very excellent. I have like 3 or 4 of these, and I use them all the time because I like having, well, I'm doing networking, so having multiple network cards in my laptop or my PC is a very, very cool thing, and they're only $10 a piece. Now this one comes with USB-A and USB-C, and some are dedicated either way, whatever. I'll put links for that in the video description, and you can use those. So now I'm going to make sure that I'm connected to this on my Ethernet connection, and I'm not. So I'm just going to enable my Ethernet. I am connected to it, yeah. And let's see what my status is. If you do this, you can find out where your router is, but by default, DDWRT will be on 192.168.1.1. So we're going to go to that IP address. You probably don't have to do any of this. So just go there, 192. It should be there, yeah, 192.168.1.1. Okay, and I use HTTPS to log into the router because I like using an encrypted connection to my router to send data back and forth from it because it can't be intercepted. So if, let's say somebody's on your network and they're just trying to sniff a password, they won't be able to sniff this password. Because it's encrypted, okay? If you go with just HTTP, and I will show you this setting in a minute, you don't have to do any of this. So here, I'm just going to click on Advanced, and the reason that the browser is warning you is because the router doesn't have a signed certificate. It's a self-signed certificate, but it's secure and it's fine, okay? So let's go here. Proceed, risky, yeah. Let's go in and log in. So at this point, you have 2 options. You can download the configuration file for this video, again, in the comment section, first pinned comment, and follow the instructions on my video on how to install that. Or you can just carry on if you've already done the 3rd video, and this is a configuration that's currently in front of me, and that is the configuration from the 3rd video. If you don't have the 3rd video done, go to the 3rd video. I'll be linking that in the video description, and install the configuration from the 3rd video, and you can follow along and do it by hand here. But easiest way is download the configuration from my webpage. So let's go here and set this up. So we're going to go to Setup, and we're going to go to Networking. All right, and you can see here there's already stuff here because we've already been here. We've set it up. And I'm going to follow my diagram for this network, which will also be on my web page right here. And so what we're going to do is create a LAN 4, right? And it's going to be on BR4, and it's going to be on, well, I've got a typo here, 192.168.40, right? So we'll do that. All right, we're going to create a network here, and it's going to be on a bridge. And again, don't worry about the technicalities. Bridge means, in this case, the next network. And here you can see we have BR0, which is the router itself, BR6, which is the Wi-Fi for the IoT, and BR2, which is the home network. So here we're going to create BR4. So click plus, take the STP off, and then type in BR4 for the network, and then hit save and apply. Now, every time you do that, the router will do a little reboot. So it takes a little bit for that to show up. Let's go down here so you can see what's going on. You can see my BR4 network here, and you can see that BR4 just showed up down here, but there's nothing there, right? And my BR6, which is the IoT Wi-Fi, has nothing in it, but see, it just populated. So it takes a little bit. It has to, go through its thing. So we've got BR4 bridge made. Now what we need to do is start adding things to it, right? So first thing we're going to add to it, let's just hit the plus here on assign to bridge. We're going to choose BR4 because that's what we're dealing with here. And we're going to put LAN port 4 on it. There we go. So now the fourth port, once we hit save and apply. So now BR4 right here is assigned the LAN port 4 interface. So like I said, this is step 1. We'll let this continue on here. Now we're going to scroll down here, and you see we've got BR2. There's the configuration for it on 20. There's BR4 and there's BR6. Now 4, yeah, look, I'm just going to keep it simple and call it LAN 4, so we know what it is. Then fourth LAN port, and then we're going to put an IP address on it, 192.168.40.1, and then on the slash put 24. That's what gives you your 254 IP addresses. Now here, we're going to click on Net Isolation, and then we're going to hit Save and Apply. Now what Net Isolation does is it stops this network from seeing the router. We don't want anything on your network seeing the router other than something that is attached to an Ethernet cable to port 1 on the router. That's how it's, again, we're keeping this secure. This is all about security, right? So here we go. We're back in here. We've got LAN 4. There we go. This is starting to populate. LAN 4 hasn't switched over there yet, but it will. You can see here BR2 still holding LAN 4. And let's just take that one out here. So we've got LAN 4 here. We're going to hit, that's why it's holding it. My apologies on that. We're going to hit minus on that LAN 4 on BR2 and save and apply. So now LAN 4 will be only assigned to BR4. And now you can see, yeah, boom. You just saw it switch over. Isn't that cool? And the Wi-Fi should come back in. You have to keep looking at this list because it's a little wonky once in a while, right? Yeah, that looks good. But you notice that LAN 4 has no Wi-Fi assigned to it yet. We're going to do that in a minute. First, we got to finish up what we're doing here. All right, we've got BR4, LAN 4. We've got net isolation on. Great. We got an IP address on it. That's great too. So that's a virtual router. We'll call that that. Now scroll down here. We got to give all the devices on that network an IP address. So we have to create a separate DHCP server for that network. And what a DHCP server is, every network has one. It hands out IP addresses to all the devices so that they can connect to the network. So we're just going to create it here. Hit plus at the very bottom down here under multiple DHCP servers. Okay, and then here we're going to choose LAN 4. Then we're going to hit save and apply. And you can see now 192.168.40.1 BR4 LAN 4 is on. So it has a DHCP server. Now if we plug something into that port right now, it would actually give you an IP address and allow you to surf the internet. So the Ethernet portion of this is done at this point. Let's go a little further and over here to administration. I wanted to show you the web access HTTPS settings. This is how I have it. I also always turn on InfoSite password protection down here because it protects the router from being seen by anybody before they're logged into it. So if you want to log into the router right now, first of all, you have to use HTTPS, which is the secure version, right? And that's why you'll get that warning on your browser. Any browser you use will give you that warning. But just go, okay, advanced, I understand, and continue on, and you'll get there. Like I said, that's a security thing. Now, if you don't want to be hassled with that, just choose HTTP. I don't recommend that because then you're sending your passwords through the network in clear text. And if there is a vulnerability or there is somebody in your network hacking it, they will see it, guaranteed, right? They are sniffing every packet going through your network if they can. And I've been told, oh yeah, but I'm on a switch, you can't hack that. Yeah, you can hack switches too. Even though they're passive layer 2 devices, you can still hack them. These people are very inventive. There's my settings for that. Let's go over and create some Wi-Fi networks. So we're going to go to wireless. You can see here my Wi-Fi setup and that I have Wi-Fi 50. I got DD-WRT 2.4. I have 4 total Wi-Fi connections right now. 2 for the main home network and 2 for the IoT jailed devices. So 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz in both cases. Now we need to do 2 more for the new network. Now we don't need another guest Wi-Fi network for that network. You only need one guest Wi-Fi network, and it needs to be isolated from all your networks, and that's where all your IoT stuff goes. So you leave that alone. If you got, let's say you want to put a camera or some sort of IoT device on this network, just put it on the Wi-Fi isolated IoT network, and you'll be able to see it. It will work. It will show you what, let's say it's a camera, it will work. It will show you where you are or whatever you want to see from that network. No problem at all. Just everything that's IoT goes into that island, right? Jailed island. So we really only have to create 2 interfaces, and that's for 2.4 and for 5 gigahertz. So let's go here to add virtual app. And this one is for 5 gigahertz. You can see it here, right? And you can see here that this is 5 gigahertz, Wi-Fi 50, right? So we're going to add one more. I clicked it, and then it says app here, it's virtual interface, right? And this is what this matters. See this W0.2? That tells you what the ID of this Wi-Fi or this Wi-Fi is going to be. Now, the way that works, just so you know, is the 5 gigahertz interface is WLAN 0. The 2.4 interface is WLAN 1. Now, every time you add a virtual access point, it adds a point something to it. So since I have a WLAN 0 here and 1 virtual interface, this one is 0.1. I'm creating a second one, so it's WLAN 0.2. Right? So WLAN 0 is the 5 gigahertz. So here we're just, let's call it, actually LAN 4 Wi-Fi, and let's call it Wi-Fi 50. So we know that it's 5 gigahertz. So LAN 4 Wi-Fi 50. We'll hit save and apply. Now for the 2.4 gigahertz, we do the same, add a virtual app down here. And then here, just put in, again, well, we'll just use the same setup, nomenclature. There we go. And then we're going to call this one 2.4 for 2.4 gigahertz. Okay, save and apply again. Now we got to create passwords for both of those because they're not there yet, right? We've just created them in, and when you do that, by default, you get blank passwords. You got to fix that real quick. We go over here to wireless security, scroll down, and you'll see them. Here it is right here. So WLAN 0, which is the 5 gigahertz, 0.2, right? So we're going to go here to WP and choose WPA on the security mode. And it always scrolls back up every time you do this. So here it is still, SSID. We're going to choose WPA 2 and WPA 3 because those are the 2 most secure. Actually, WPA 3 is more secure than WPA 2, but both are more than adequate. And if you're Wi-Fi card or device supports WPA3, it will connect through WPA3. Now you got to go back here and choose CCMP 128 AES. Choose that one. And now you put your password in here. And I'm just going to copy my password, which is from the configuration file. And that's the password you're going to have if you download the configuration file and follow the video that shows you how to do this. So I'm just putting it in there like that, and then I'm saving and applying. There we go. So let's scroll down, make sure everything's cool. WLAN 0.2, yep. PA2, PA3, 128. Got the password in there. Excellent. Now we're going to go find the second interface and give it a security setting. So here under security mode, we'll choose WPA. There we go. Scroll down. Again, same thing, WPA2, and every time you click it, you got to scroll back down. I don't know what that's all about. And then WPA3, again, 128, there you go. Put the password in. I'm just using the same one. This is basically following my configuration. And if you do download my configuration, then you want to go in here and change all of these passwords. And also, I'm going to save and apply here. We're ready on that one. Save and apply. The other thing you want to change, if you've downloaded my configuration, go over here to administration and change the username and the password. Now, the username is admin, so you could leave that. But the password is definitely not. It's the same one we're using right now for Wi-Fi. I use the same password all the way through. And when you download that config file, it's a zip file. When you unzip it, you'll see the actual configuration file, which is a bin.bin file. And you see a text file, which explains all of this and how to put it in. Okay, so either that or watch that video I put up earlier on. Okay, so let's scroll down here. By default, it says overclocking, but I'm not overclocking it. At 1800 megahertz, that's the speed of this router's CPU supposed to function at. So you can leave it there or not, but that's what I chose, and it works beautifully and fine. And I've been using it for weeks at that speed without any problem whatsoever. So back to wireless. There we go. We've got all that set up. Save and apply. Okay, one more time just for kicks. I use these settings on the main interfaces because they're the most compatible. You can play with these. This is all about experimentation. Or you can just keep them and run them. They run well anyway. Here we're going to go back to setup, go back to networking, because we got to take those Wi-Fi interfaces that we just made and move them into the BR4 LAN 4 network. All right. So as you can see here, there is no Wi-Fi on that BR4. So what we're going to do is just go over here and hit plus. After you hit plus, you're going to select BR4, which is LAN 4. And we're going to connect to first WLAN 02, which is the 5 gigahertz, and save and apply. And you can see those here, how they're all set up. And you can see that right now, both those wireless interfaces they were on BR0, but this is going to populate and set this up here in a second. So go back here while we wait for that little router to reboot a little bit. There we go. So now we got WLAN 02 on LAN 4. We're going to hit plus again. Go to BR4 again for LAN 4. We're going to choose WLAN 1, 2. So remember, 0 is the 5 gigahertz and 1 is the 2.4 gigahertz. This 0.2 on the end means that it's the second virtual app. And again here, second virtual app. And if you look at the other settings, you'll see them that BR0 has the 1.2 on it. Again, this is going to move around a little bit, but LAN 4 has WLAN 0.2 right now. So I'm going to hit save and apply again. And that's the way it should be. Let's see if that updates. At this point, these two should show up beside BR4. So this current bridging table thing is really, really important. If that's not right, then you need to make it right. So right now, we've got that set up. We'll let that populate. There we go. So now we got bridge 4 or the 4 network with LAN 4 and WLAN 0.2, WLAN 1.2. Exactly what you need, what we needed to have. Scroll down here low to the lower, and you can see it's all there. This is still good. There's really not anything else you need to do with the Wi-Fi. Once you put it on BR4, it's going to get the right IP addresses. At this point, just click Save and Apply just one more time for giggles. And you can see here that the only thing on BR0, which is the router physically itself, is LAN 1. That's how you connect to it. And we are connected to LAN 1 right now. That's why we can see this interface. When you disconnect the Ethernet cable from this router's port 1, that's it. You can't see it anymore. Nobody can see it, right? That's how you actually configure the router and manage the router. Other than that, there's no accessing it. Got that all done. Now let's go over here to administration, actually the status, and you can see everything here that's going on. But what's really interesting is that you can see the WAN here, and you can see that some data went through there, and there's some graphing here. And the WAN is cool. It's got some cool graphing here, shows you what's going on, speed test, whatever. What I want to look at is LAN and wireless. So let's go to LAN, and you can see here, it's showing you what's connected. And what is actually connected, as you can see, well, this would be my laptop, my PC that's connected to this router. This here is my WAN connection. That's my connection to the internet. I'm using my other router for that, but regardless, it's showing you that. And then if you go to wireless, you can see that nothing's connected. So let's connect to wireless at this point. Great, let's turn on the wireless. We'll choose, let's go with the big one, Wi-Fi 50, which we know is the 5 gigahertz. I'm gonna paste that password in there. There we go. So now we're connected. Let's look at that information. And you can see LAN 4, Wi-Fi 50, Wi-Fi 6, AX, perfect. Speed 1201, 1201. You know, excellent Wi-Fi speed. This router is something else. So I'm on 5 gigahertz, no problem. And there's my IP address, 192.168.40.144. So we're on the 40 network. Perfect, right? Now we do a little speed test. What the heck? All right, Fort Worth's my favorite. Click on that, hit allow there. And you can see, just cranking. Now, this is not really Wi-Fi. It's a mix because I'm still connected through Ethernet too, right? Let's disconnect the Ethernet and do that again. Just for a second. Remember, when we disconnect the Ethernet, we don't have access to that router anymore. Okay? And that's just to show you that, you know, the Wi-Fi is working regardless of the Ethernet. I mean, that's Wi-Fi speed, not Ethernet speed, right? I mean, I got a gigabit Ethernet connection to the internet through cable. And like, that's, you know, 160 megabytes short of the entire bandwidth on Wi-Fi. Like this router is awesome. And this firmware from DDWRT, the third-party firmware, is awesome too. So I'm going to turn my Ethernet back on because I want to go back on the router. Now I could have just unplugged the cable. That would have worked too. There we go on that. You can see excellent result. Much, you know, it's even faster on Ethernet. But now we're on the wireless, and you can see there I am. There's a wireless connection right there. If we go to LAN, you can see that my desktop is connected. 192.168.1. Well, actually, those are the DHCP clients. They sort of count, but you can see the desktop's in there twice, and it's not really. It's here that counts. Active clients. So currently on 192.168.1.184, my desktop, which is how I'm able to see this router. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to. This is the 40.144, which is the actual, and it says here, interface BR4. That's my Wi-Fi connection that I got right now. There it is, showing you that it's on the 40 network. The next thing we're going to do is hook up Ethernet to this router. We want more than, well, we've only got one port on this router right now that's Ethernet. We want more than that. I'm going to take an Ethernet cable from that port 4 on the router and plug it in to any one of the ports. It doesn't matter. You can go to the first one, middle one, doesn't matter. They're all the same. So plug it in, and that's going to go into port 4, which is right there. The one closest to the yellow internet port is port 4, right? So plug it in there. And at that point now we've got a nice blinking green light there. And well, it's not blinking, but a green light for connection. There's no data going through it yet. So now I'm going to connect a bunch of devices into this, okay? So and you can see them populating there. There we go. Now I have, get enough cable length to show you. There we go. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 active clients plus the cable going to the actual router itself. And you can see all the lights blinking now, but this is the one connecting it to the router port 4, and all the rest are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 clients on the back of that switch. Isn't that excellent? And they're fast. They're very fast. So they're as fast as anything connected to Ethernet on this router. So that's an excellent thing. So you can see here, active clients have now grown a lot. I still have my connection to this router. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to see any of this. And then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 devices. Raspberry Pi, another Raspberry Pi running a media server, desktop, and another desktop, like a whole bunch of stuff, right? So as you can see, this works just great, right? If you're going to move this router far away from the router, if you're going to move this switch and create this network far, far away from the router, yeah, watch my next video. I'll show you how to set up an access point on this, and then you can have Wi-Fi locally wherever this switch is, and that Wi-Fi will be as fast, well, if you use the right access point, as the original Wi-Fi is. So I'll show you that in the next video, but right now this is it on this. Now again, if we disconnect from port 1, it should disappear right here, the active clients. This one should disappear. Actually, you can't see it disappear because if you're not connected to port 1, you've lost access to this router. Take a look. Nothing, right? Can't get to it anymore. Plug it back in, and you got access to it again. So what we've done here is exactly what I showed in this picture right here. Again, pinned comment under this video will have a link to this diagram, everything on it. We'll also have a link to my webpage, which we'll show you this diagram, and we'll give you a link to the configuration file for this network, and it will follow this exactly. Again, I use different names for the router here, and I'm going to fix this up as well. So this will not show the same way. It will show exactly the way I did it in this video, and it will follow it exactly. That's all on my website. Look at that. Isn't that cool? The bandwidths. It tells you what's running what. So BR4, right, is basically right there. It's using all that. LAN 1, a little bit. LAN 4, everything. Wireless, a little bit there because I'm connected through wireless. And look at that. That's WAN actually. That's the interface, the net interface. So yeah, it's a very cool thing here. You know, very cool. I strongly recommend this router. I had nothing but great success with it. You know, and as you can see, it does a lot of cool stuff. All right, that's it for my video. If you like this video and helped you out in any way, do me a favor. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a like on this video. That helps YouTube to know that it's a good video, and then they share it out to other people. You know, it makes things great. And you're also helping me out, which I really appreciate. Comment section, anything you want to say to me, you know, suggestions, questions, whatever. Video suggestions are awesome. And anything you want to communicate to me, just put it in the comment section below. I'm there all the time, and I respond very frequently. And a lot of videos are made by viewers like you suggesting something. Oh, Richard, can you do this one? Yeah, I can. A lot of the time I go, yeah, that's a great idea. My last video was one of those. And if you like my content and want to see more, subscribe to my channel. As part of that process, hit the bell icon, and then you'll be notified every time I put up a new video, and then you can watch it at your own leisure. Once again, and like always, take care of yourself, take care of others, stay healthy, stay happy, stay safe, and we'll see you on the next video.